dig the Ironhead here. This is a 1970, I guess you had said earlier?
Yeah.
Very cool. You had explained earlier about the tank being the turtle tank 67. How'd that come to happen? I guess it was
I bought it from the original owner. He wanted a turtle tank. He bought it as a leftover in 71. And the dealership, the only turtle tank that was available was a 67. So he got a 67 turtle tank. He also put a 67 front end on there because he wanted the full brace fender. Otherwise, it's all 70 with matching numbers. All fairly original. There's a couple pieces that are to be desired.
very cool vintage look. And when he said turtle tank, he means the gas tank, because they had a peanut tank like the more modern Sportsters now. This is more of a vintage look that was probably the same since the 50s, like 57, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, if you look at a 57, it's going to be pretty much the same bike, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure.
They didn't really change much in that 10-year period, if at all. And the seat is original also, correct?
It's original for a 67 style. I actually have the original 70 buddy seat over there.
Yep.
Yeah. The 70 was a little bit sleeker. Everything went. Everything's kind of like you went for the earlier look, you know.
I'm glad it's not. I wasn't the only one that noticed that.
You're somewhat of an Ironhead specialist. You have a bunch of these, right?
Yeah, I got 40 or so. I
Wow.
don't know if it's a specialist so much as the addiction.
Well, it is. Yeah, you get obsessed with it. But, you know, I think we have something in common. And tell me if you agree. This side of the Ironhead Sportster motor, in particular, with the smaller filter, I think it's the most beautiful, one of the most beautiful Harley motors ever made. It's something about the profile of the Ironhead engine right
Yeah, I
here.
completely agree with the 900 rocker boxes. Before they changed to the split type rockers, it's got the upright ignition with a timer as opposed to the cone points. Just a classic look.
The 16256HO, the last number I believe denotes the year. Does that denote the year of manufacture?
The H meaning it would be a 70, and the 0 meaning the year. So it's
70. 70, yep.
70 was also the first year of the motor and the frame having a matching VIN. Prior to 1970, Harley Davidson had no VIN on the frame.
Yep, you can see that there's a matching numbers, an original. That means the engine cases and the frame are original. And if you're looking for a collectible motorcycle, if it doesn't have that, keep moving. This is that's like a prerequisite to be a collectible, in my opinion. And these are you call these rims are very special, also, aren't they?
Well, they were an option, and they're what I always call the safety rim. They're an aluminum rim, and they got a high shoulder. I don't know if they did much for safety, but they did a whole lot for Ironheads. There's no rust on the rims on here.
Yep. Yeah. And it's less unsprung weight, correct?
Absolutely.
The steel hoops would be a lot heavier.
Yeah.
You've upgraded the suspension also. I see.
There's some odds and ends. It's definitely a rider.
You want these shocks if you're going to ride it, otherwise your back's going to take a beating. The stock shocks, at this point, even when they were new, they sucked. 50 years later, they're horrible.
Absolutely. But it's just an all-around rider. The primary cover is later. That should be a rib cover, and I have one. I haven't changed it just because
you're enjoying the bike. You put some miles on it this year too. You said
I put about 4,000 miles on it this summer.
You probably put more miles on this bike than 99% of the guys who bought the new 2019 Harleys.
It's a different ride if you got the time,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's like I said, if you look on my channel, I've done up a bunch of Ironheads. I like the motors when they're rebuilt stock and you got them tuned really good, because they're durable and reliable, and they're a lot of fun to ride.
Even the cylinder case numbers match. They're all the day code is all correct on the cylinder. What side is it on? It'd be on this side.
Do you know the history of this bike? Like I think you said a friend of yours had purchased this originally.
I met him because he came in to my shop and he had watched some hill climbing events at the New Hampshire rally this year.
Yeah.
And he thought they were mostly vintage motorcycles, and this bike belonged to his brother who bought it new, and he thought, well, I got a vintage. It's the only vintage motorcycle I got, so I want to build a hill climber, and so he brought this to me. Told me the story with all the paperwork and the pictures. Been in his family for a long time. And like I said, I'm just a sucker to save something. So I ended up setting him up with a Triumph, a Bonneville 650 with a hardtail frame and everything that was more apt for hill climbing, mostly because I wanted to save this.
It would be a shame to, I mean, even got the original style handlebars, the gauges, everything. The front end. These are probably the most highly modified Harley Davidson ever made, the Sportster, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So to have one that's 49 or 50 years old, like this one is, in the original condition that it came out of the dealership, it came from the factory with a peanut tank and a seat. But back then, business wasn't that good, and Harley would do whatever you want. And as you had mentioned, they had a leftover turtle tank that they put on here, right?
AMF bought 69, and so by 71, you could buy anything you wanted, especially leftover parts. I don't remember what year it was that AMF ended up getting rid of a lot of surplus parts, but in 71 and 70, you could still buy whatever was on the shelf. AMF's sole purpose was to save the company and sell whatever they had, however they had to sell it. That's why you have your snowmobiles, your dirt bikes, and everything else.
Then we had the Aramakis and the little two-stroke street and dirt bikes and everything else.
AMF got a bad name, but nobody would have a Harley Davidson today if it wasn't.
Willie G wouldn't have had a chance to buy it back if they didn't bail him out, right?
Yeah.
Very cool piece.
No case repairs or anything, and that's always something on an old Ironhead I like to see, because in theory, an old Honda can sit in a barn for 50 years, and you can clean the carbon, they'll usually start and run. By all accounts, this bike sometime in the last 50 years should have imploded somewhere.
Yep.
It had to take a huge amount of maintenance to take care of it for it to not be blown up or wrecked or anything.
So it's a true survivor to not have the cases damaged on it, right?
Yeah, in my opinion, and that rough around the edges kind of
patina.
Yeah.
That's
I own things that I feel like it's a little bit too pretty for me to.
You wouldn't want to take it out,
enjoy.
and you wouldn't be riding it through the dirt here if you spent 40 hours polishing every nook and cranny on it.
Exactly.
So it's a bike you're taking out and enjoying, evidenced by the fact you put 4,000 miles on it this year, which again is more than 90% of the riders I know.
Right.
Yeah. What kind of riding do you do? Mostly back road, or?
Yeah, I live in Maine, so we have a lot of we don't have the traffic, so you can kind of enjoy yourself on an older bike like this, because at 65 miles an hour on this motorcycle, you can hear everything a motor does, every valve. And
I like my Ironheads on a back road doing about 45 miles an hour in fourth gear. That's when they just lope along, 2,000 RPM, and that's what they're, in my opinion, what they're designed for. Back road country roads. I do not like taking them on the highway. I like I said earlier, I like riding them off road too. That's why I set up my last one that we built with a XR 750 tailpiece on it and a peanut tank and motocross style bars and knobbies, and we rode that thing on and off road, and it was a cool piece. Painted it black and orange.
Right.
That thing was
to get you in trouble, but they're not.
I would never do that to this one. This one's way too close to stock, obviously, and you felt the same way. That's why you bought it. But mine was, the one we rebuilt needed a total frame up resto. So we figured, what the hell? Let's have a little fun with it.
Exactly. Yeah.
We do a lot of resto mods on them, but
and we all find if we're in the bikes, everyone finds an old Ironhead somewhere along the line.
Yep.
And anything could be wrong with it. You know what I mean? Or they're missing this and that.
So do you have a shop you'd like to promote on our channel, or is this something you do
Really,
inside?
man,
No?
it's a hobby.
Okay. Yeah.
My name's Joshua Art. I own Permanent Expressions Tattoo Studio in Belfast, Maine, and motorcycles is just always.
So you own a tattoo studio in Maine?
Tattoo studio in Maine.
Awesome.
And,
Do you ever do any road shows with the tattoos, like the big events?
I did a lot of conventions for a long time, and I still do a few a year. But
hey, if you come down to the museum, I'll give you a free booth to set up a booth down there.
oh, that'd be cool, man.
At
We
Rock
could
Stop,
probably
we do a
work
big
something
music
out.
festival in the spring.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, bring your Ironhead down, and
Yeah, we could
you
do
can camp
some
out down
stuff.
there on the banks of the river. We got 11 acres. We have an 11-acre site down there. So
That'd be awesome. Yeah, we could definitely do something like that. But yeah, between the tattoo shop and my best friend, we went to high school together, and he owns Jack's Rod Shop in Freedom, Maine.
yeah.
Which is
Where's Belfast? Is that up? Is that?
it's up on the coast. It's about an hour from Augusta.
Yep. How long did it take you to get here?
It takes me about 4 hours to get here, but I try not to miss Rice-A-Rama.
Are you a veteran Rice-A-Rama attendee?
I do like Rice-A-Rama. I've always shown up with Harley Davidson stuff and a few oddball, different Japanese stuff and a lot of Amarachi stuff. And I always do good, but it's Rice Rama is an event you got to see if you're a motorcycle
Oh yeah,
enthusiast.
yeah. Tomorrow's going to be off the hook pretty much.
Crazy, you know how it goes.
That whole show bike. You see all kinds of crazy high performance mini bikes, like that V Twin. It's 38 horsepower V Twin monster mini bike over there. Well, thank you for sharing the bike with us today. Could you start it up so we can hear it right away on the video for the people? Everybody's been patient watching. They want to hear it run. It'll be up on the channel tonight if you want to watch it. Now that is a cool old bike. 50-year-old Harley Davidson Ironhead Sportster. Stay tuned, so there'll be some more awesome bikes coming out here tomorrow.